NFL drafting rookies. Hell yeah.
Podcast off the rails already.
But there is not a chance in hell Justin Fields is finishing in the top 10.
You know what, Mikey? Shut it.
He wants
Why
it.
not?
You don't want the smoke.
He's Calvin Johnson. He's Calvin
Oh,
Johnson.
good.
Oh,
God.
my
Yes,
God.
yes, and yes.
What are we gonna do with you?
It just, it adds a little extra flavor to the podcast. I don't know.
I think you're disrespecting David Njoku.
Thank God
Yeah.
for Joe Flacco. That's all I can say. I'll help the owners. Don't draft Kadarius Toney.
I have to give the people what they want. I mean, come on. I'm going to milk it. I'm going to milk it for all it's worth.
I'll give you something to milk.
Let's rock and roll.
All right, time to look back on week 4 here on the MHA podcast. Usual suspects here: Eric Lansing, Mike Renaud, Todd Diamond. And guys, I don't even know how to start this show. The NFL's a scary place right now. I really don't want to be here. Patrick Mahomes sucks. Sam Darnold is great. Breece Hall stinks. Brian Robinson Jr. is amazing. DJ Moore is terrible. Wan'Dale Robinson is killing it. What's happening? What year? I don't know what's going on. Can you guys help me out with this?
Well, we are in the Twilight Zone, but I will say this. Let's just start this off. At least one thing. Congrats for fantasy baseball for you, Eric. 6th championship. At least you got 1 championship, so you're on the right track for this year.
Oh, that was a weird segue from
Yes,
the NFL to that, but I guess thank you. But yeah, what do you think about what's going on in this? I mean, you're obviously doing well, Miguel, so maybe you like to be in this world.
I don't think it's the Twilight Zone. I think it's just, there's been a lot of injuries, and there was a lot of changes that happened in the offseason with different players, especially fantasy-wise, running backs, receivers, going to different places. I think there's an adjustment period with all that. And so, slow start for a lot of stars and injuries in places that are hurting some stars.
What stinks? That's what I have to say. I want my stars being stars and my duds being duds, and that's not what's happening. But that's okay. With that in mind, how about we start the show off with some MHA trivia?
Yeah.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Yeah, let's play some games. Maybe that'll make me a little better, feel better about things. So, I'm going to give you guys 2 names. And there's no race to decide who's. You guys just pick whoever you want out of these 2 names. I'm going to give you 2 names. You're going to tell me which player has more points. Whoever gets to 5 points first wins. So you both can guess the same player, and you'll both get a point. And at some point, I'm sure you won't pick the same player. And if we're tied at 5, we'll just keep going until we're not tied anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Let's rock and roll.
All right, here we go. Let's start at some quarterbacks. Who's got more points? Is it Dak Prescott or Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold.
Dak
Mikey?
Prescott.
And the correct answer is Dak Prescott.
Prescott. All
Prescott.
right.
That's right. Neither one. Great start. No, it's actually Dak Prescott. Of course, I'm going to try to trip you guys up. I'm not going to go with something that basic right out of the gate, but it's Dak. So Mikey up 1-0. Where's my number here? Dak 178 to Sam Darnold 173, which is even amazing that you think we're even at that point. So Mikey picks up a point, and we'll go to our next one. Let's stay with the quarterbacks. Who's got more points? Lamar Jackson or CJ Stroud?
Lamar Jackson.
I'll go with CJ. I'll say CJ Stroud.
And the answer is Lamar Jackson, 173 to 172. We are all tied up at 1 apiece. Let's go to some running backs. Who's got more points from these 2 studs here? Alvin Kamara or Saquon Barkley? These guys you own. Both you guys own these guys. What's that, Todd? You're going Saquon?
Barkley? Yeah.
I'll go Kamara.
And the answer is Alvin Kamara, 97 to 93 points. Not too shabby. Both those guys are having really great years. And so Mikey goes up 2-1, and we'll go to another running back. How about Jordan Mason or Jonathan Taylor? Who's got more points between those two guys this season?
I'll say Jordan Mason.
Todd,
Uh,
that's your boy, Jordan Mason.
yeah. I'll say Jordan Mason.
And you both are correct, just by a couple of points, 71 to 68. So Mikey goes up 3-1. We're trying to get to 5. Let's keep with the running back train going here. Who's got more points, Devin Achane or Aaron Jones?
Ugh. I'll say Aaron Jones.
What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, Todd's boyfriend, is correct, 65 to 57. So Aaron Jones maybe outperforming his numbers, while Achane, not so much. So where are we at here? 4-3 in favor of Mikey. So let's go to the next one. How about some rookie wide receivers? Who got more points, Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors?
Neighbors.
Yeah, Neighbors.
Neighbors. And the answer is Malik Neighbors, 72 to 51. We're going to keep going here, even though Mikey won 5-4. We're going to keep going. Which of these Houston wide receivers has more points, Nico Collins or Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs.
I'll go Collins.
It's absolutely Collins. Get out of here with that Stephon Diggs. Collins 66 to 57. Sucka. Collins is good.
Okay.
6-4. Well done, Mikhail.
Okay.
We got a couple more. Who's got more points, Chris Godwin or Mike Evans?
Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin.
Yeah, that's correct. I thought that'd be a little more difficult. 61 to 46. How about
Well,
that?
Evans had that really bad week against the Broncos, so that probably hurt him.
Good point. How about these two guys, Chris Olave or Drake London? Who's got more points?
I'll go London.
This guy's definitely
Yeah.
underperforming.
Yeah,
What did you say,
London.
Todd? You're going London?
London, yeah.
And London is correct, 42 to 39. Last one, Alan Lazard or Garrett Wilson? Yeah.
I'm gonna go Lazard. He has like all the touchdowns.
Yeah, I say Lazard.
It is Lazard, 42 to 34. Man, Garrett Wilson struggling for sure. And he went later in our draft than most. All right. So that was some fun. Mikey, you did it again, man. I'm just so proud of you. You're so good at everything fantasy football wise. Way to go, kid. I'm so proud of you.
I can't tell if you're being honest with me.
How about I just give you? There you go.
I can't see your face, so you know.
No, it's fine. You're doing well. All right, let's get to some news.
I don't understand what the news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of you can't fix that happened that was horrible.
A lot of Devontae Adams news going on out in the social media verse. Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams not playing against the Broncos due to a hamstring, but I think there's has something to do with him wanting to be traded out of Las Vegas. So a lot of team names I've seen, so that should be interesting going forward. Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice suffered an injury thanks to Mr. Patrick Mahomes, who's having a terrible season, threw a pick, and then Rice had to go make a tackle. And then on top of it, good old Patrick Mahomes undercuts him, takes him out at the knee. There was a lot of talk of being a torn ACL, but nothing's really been revealed in terms of what's actually happened. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're just not divulging any information, but it hasn't been confirmed that it's a torn ACL. Fingers crossed for Eric here, but he still might be out for a while. How about another great wide receiver, Malik Neighbors? Did not practice today. He's hanging out in the concussion protocols. So that's something for Mikey to keep an eye on. How about another Giants wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, limited in practice due to a heel problem. Boy, if neither one of those guys plays, watch out, Daniel Jones. 49ers tight end George Kittle had a pretty good week last week in double figures, still suffering from a rib injury. How about another tight end, Trey McBride, concussion, limited practice for the Cardinals today. Commanders running back and Aaron running back Brian Robinson Jr. did not practice. He's got a knee thing going on. We kind of mentioned it before the podcast. Panthers wide receiver Deontay Johnson didn't practice today because of an ankle injury. Cole Kmet limited in practice due to a knee issue. Joe Burrow right wrist, but he should be ready by Sunday. Nick Chubb has been taken off the PUP and is allowed to practice. It sounded like he was limited today. And Cowboys wide receiver Brandon Cooks not playing in week 5. Not that that's super major, but he's dealing with an infection in his knee. Christian Watson won't be placed on the injured reserve, but did not practice because of an ankle. How about a couple of Texans? Joe Mixon not practicing, Tank Dell not practicing. Good news for Anthony Richardson, who was squashed twice last Sunday. I saw that on the highlights. He got an oblique issue, but he was at least limited in practice. There was a lot of talk that he might be out for a week or two, but he was actually in practice today. Jonathan Taylor didn't practice today. He's got an ankle issue. Travis Etienne has a shoulder issue that had him limited today. And anybody excited about Clyde Edwards-Helaire practicing after being taken off the PUP?
Yeah.
Nope, that is crickets. All right. Anything else I missed or anything you guys want to talk about amongst all that news?
That is a long injury list.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But usually we do our stuff on Tuesdays. We're actually doing our podcast on Wednesday, so a lot more information is out there. So there was a lot to talk about. Mikey, any concern about your boy Malik Neighbors?
No, I mean, from everything I heard, given the extended time period between last Thursday and this Sunday, they think he's going to be okay.
Todd, you worry about Deontay Johnson?
I mean, he's definitely been. I mean, he's been playing really well the last 2 weeks. So I'm hoping, maybe he gets close to a full practice, tomorrow and Friday. I'm hoping because, I kind of had to maneuver some things around because I have a couple
Bye weeks.
Bye weeks.
Bye weeks happening this week, folks. We'll talk about that afterwards. I
but
definitely
I
hope
did-
Deontay Johnson's not playing. I'd love to have. I just picked up Xavier Leggett.
Yeah.
Let's have him play this weekend.
But
All
I did
first
just
team reps. Go ahead.
But I did just make a trade for
You did.
For Adunze from Dylan. So if some case if Deontay Johnson can't play, then I'll have to put Adunze in there. And when I accepted the trade, I said, what the hell? What the hell?
And who did you trade away?
Jalen Naylor from Minnesota. So that guy. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping. And again, it just takes 2 practices. We've seen that since the beginning of time. If players can at least get 2 practices in before, 2 or 3 before the game before the game start on Sunday, then that's a good sign. So we'll see. Keeping.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why
What
not?
the hell? What the hell?
What the hell? All right, let's get into the week 4 recaps, and we'll start it off with your guys' matchup, Hot Tamales versus Butterfingers. Another week, and the Hot Tamales once again scored the most points on the weekend. Butterfinger scored the second amount, which is great, but unfortunately he played Mikey. Alvin Kamara continued his chip on the shoulders season. Wow, that's a mouthful. Scoring 22 points. Todd CMC, 2024 replacement of Jordan Mason, was great once again, 22. But for the Tamales, they have Derrick Henry, and he might be the league's MVP, especially the way these passers are throwing the ball around. He ran roughshod over the Buffalo Bills for 35 points. I thought the Bills were supposed to be good defensively. I guess not. Or Derrick Henry's just really that good. Malik Neighbors, once again, showing no signs of any kind of rookie rust or whatever. He had 17. Jaden Reed benefited greatly with Jordan Love back in the lineup. He had 20. 163 to 136 was the final tally between these two behemoths. Hot Tamales are now 4-0, the only undefeated team left. Of course, the Butterfingers, they're going to fall to 2-2. Mikey, would you like to pat yourself on the back now, or do you want to do it later?
We could do it later.
Well, no, I want you to do it now because I want you guys to talk about your matchup.
Oh. Well, I mean, I take all the pleasure of taking down the champ, handing him his second consecutive loss. After the Thursday night game with Dak and Prescott combined over 60, Todd had sent a text saying, "Oh, I think I survived." And I wasn't so sure at that time. I thought both guys played pretty decent. And so...
Well, I thought Dak would put up like 60. I mean, this is the Giants we're talking about here. They're horrible. So I was like, oh, only 42? Okay. Purdy could get more more than 42 points. Obviously he did not, but we'll talk about my dough of the week for sure, because I probably might be the dough of the week. But anyway, and only getting 17 from Neighbors and the way he's been playing the last 2 weeks, I was like, okay, um,
Only 17.
yeah, only
That's
17. I
17's
understand.
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying 17 is. I'm not to laugh about. I wasn't like, but I just felt like, okay, it's doable because I mean, my team can put up. Purdy is capable of putting up plus 42 points.
there
I,
there was some concern for me on Sunday, but when that 49ers game was going on, like it lined up correctly for me because San Francisco was playing New England and New England can't score. So I knew that if San Francisco got up early in that game, they would stop throwing, which is exactly what happened. And I got the benefit of the 49ers getting a defensive touchdown, which didn't help you.
mm-mm.
Um, and so all the points were coming from Mason because they were just running the ball, which was giving you points from him, which is fine. But Purdy stopped throwing. He only had 15 completions because they didn't have to throw the ball. And Ayuk, again, didn't do shit. So, yeah, it worked in my favor.
Well, isn't that just good for you? Isn't that great? Yeah. So, all right, done
There you
patting
go.
yourself on the back,
I
Mikey.
think Todd still thought after that 49ers game, I think I was up by, I don't even remember. I think I was up like 4. Was it like 120 to 116, something like that?
Yeah.
And it was Henry and Kincaid against Jameer Gibbs. And it's like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Then Henry breaks off that 87-yard touchdown in the first play. It's like, all right, it's over.
Buried Todd. 500 in conference in the league this year. It's okay, Todd. It's early. You could be me. You could be 1-3, or Gonzo Cats are 0-4. Be happy
Todd,
with
Man,
2-2.
you're right.
Todd,
You're right.
just think of it this way:
What's
you're
that?
you're in an exclusive club. You can now say you and Eric and Aaron have all lost to me in the first 4 weeks. So,
Great. That's just like the interception record. You just don't want to have that. Great. That's fantastic. That's great.
We'll
Hey,
keep
man.
things moving here. Kilgore Trout versus Eaton W's in a battle of 2-1 teams. Kilgore Trout would come away with the 127-108 victory over Eaton W. CJ Stroud and Mike Evans combined for 73 points for Kevin's squad, but the rest of his team scored 34, including 2 points from Miami's defense, who allowed the Titans to score 31. Kilgore Trout, his trio of running backs and Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, and Chuba Hubbard combined for 57, which included Pollard's 17 points, who helped Joe's squad run away with the victory on Monday night. So Kilgore now 3-1, Eaton W's 2-2. How about yours truly versus Cooper's Cousins? Despite 70 points between Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown on Monday night, Cooper's Cousins got an outstanding 61 from Geno Smith to defeat Eric's team 123-119. 2 big goose eggs for the Lemonheads, 0 from Rashard Rice. Of course, the Patrick Mahomes nonsense. And then Mark Andrews, another 0, 2 weeks in a row. 6 catches all year. That guy. Dylan's squad improved to 3-1, while my putrid team falls to 1-3. Lion Rip versus Belt Sanders, another close battle between these two, or I should say another close battle on the week. A lot of close battles this weekend. Travis Kelce had his best day of 2024, 11 points. Yippee. Xavier Worthy benefited with Rashee Rice out of the lineup. He had 12. And how about San Fran's defense? 23 whopping points, really making that Patriots offense look inept. They had 6 sacks, a touchdown, and 2 fumbles, fumble recoveries, I should say. But on the other side, Brian Robinson Jr. continues his stellar campaign, scoring 19 points. Justin Jefferson doing Justin Jefferson things. He had 16, and Todd's former lover, Aaron Jones, added 15. Line Rip improves to 2-2. Belt Sanders fall to 1-3 after the 120-117 3-point win for Line Rip. Gonzo Cats versus NWA. That was a battle tooth and nail until the final moments of Monday Night Football. The Gonzo Cats got a resurgent 25 points from DeAndre Swift, who I think listened to our podcast. I feel like we buried him 1 week ago, and then he balls out for 25 the next weekend. How about Jordan Addison? Forgot he existed. Had 2 points and 2 touchdowns and 19 points. The NWA put Justice Hill into his lineup, and somehow he put up 17 points as the backup to Derrick Henry. See, this is why I don't know what I'm doing with fantasy football. So into the final game of the weekend, NWA had 93.64 points with Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf. Gonzo Cats 99.75 points with only Zach Charbonnet left. The Seattle running back had 8.45 points with a tough Detroit versus a tough Detroit defense. Blah blah blah. Tyreek Hill, he only had 7 points as the Dolphins continue to struggle without Tua. DK Metcalf scored a touchdown, but also had a fumble. And I believe the Gonzo Cats had a lead after Goff threw that touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Geno found DK Metcalf, I think, once on that very late drive, and that allowed NWA to squeak out their second win, while the Gonzo Cats, unfortunately, falls to 0-4. Not a lot of luck with the Gonzo Cats here this season. And the final matchup, another tight battle. This one between Chad Powers Fan Club and Notorious CUP. Just 5 points separated these two. James Conner had a rebound game, rushing for over 100 yards. He had 17 points. And Wandale Robinson, what the heck? Wandale Robinson, 11 receptions. Daniel Jones making 2 wide receivers fantasy relevant. I'm so scared to be here. On the other side, CUP got 25 points from Nico Collins. I told you guys he was the best guy. Squeaky Wheel, CeeDee Lamb got his big day, 18 points. And Kenny Walker III. Wow, big Monday night, 31 points. Detroit's defense had given up just 20 total points in the first 3 weeks of the season to running backs, but then Kenny Walker, 31 points. CUP escapes with the 125-120 win to improve to 3-1. Miles falls to 1-3. Anything you guys want to say anything about those matchups at all? A lot of close matchups this week.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean those decimal points now are definitely making a big difference now when it comes to scoring. But yeah, a lot of close matchups. So
I feel bad for Gonzo Cats being 0-4. His team has just been rattled with injuries, and yeah, he's well on his way to picking first again, unless he can turn something around.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his team, I mean, I was like, what? Yeah, Jordan Addison was like, where did he come from? Oh yeah, I guess he needed to start him, and he hasn't even hit buys yet, and so that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. And so it'll be even worse this week, and we'll talk about those buys in a little bit. Now it's time for the dough of the week. Todd mentioned his. Tell us why you think you're a candidate for dough of the week.
well, I don't know, and maybe just because Purdy just didn't have a great game. But if I would have played Daniels, I think I probably would have won.
You would have lost.
I still would have lost with Daniels.
Yeah.
Daniels had 52 points. And if I would have played Daniels and Deontay Johnson instead of Brandon Ayuk, I still would have lost.
No, actually, in that scenario, would have won. But
right, it would have helped him win in that scenario.
Yeah.
So you have that one. Chad Powers Fan Club falls by 5. This is just funny because he left Ladd McConkey on his bench, who had 14, and started Quentin Johnson, who only had 1 because Johnson had an incredible week 3. And so that ended up backfiring on Chad Powers Fan Club. Did we see any other ones that were like legit? I mean, you talk about NWA, who only won by 2 points. I just don't know if there was anything like, oh, he should have started him over him.
Yeah, there wasn't really that. Like, I had one pick that I had.
Okay.
And that was you.
Oh, boy. Did I even have points on my bench? That's funny.
Well, no, it's just because we had spent time during the podcast last week, or maybe we talked about it off air. I don't remember, where we talked about, well, Eric, what are you going to do? Is this going to be the week where are you going to continue to run Mark Andrews?
Yeah.
He said, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, that's a good point. I could have picked up any other tight end possibly in the world, and at least would have gotten, I lost by 4 points, a little less than 4 points. Yeah, that's true. I'm definitely a candidate for that. That's a good point. So we have 3 certain candidates. Who's going to win it? Is it going to be Eric? Is it going to be Chad Powers Fan Club? Or is it going to be Todd Diamond?
I got to take Todd out of the running because that's 2 separate moves.
Would you count them as legit moves? Like, would you have possibly made those decisions yourself, Miguel?
I don't think so. Like, Ayuk was a high pick of Todd's, and
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson was coming off one good week, and Purdy's been good all season up until this last week. So it's hard to.
Okay. I feel you on that.
Yeah, I mean Purdy was coming off 50, almost 54 points the prior week. Like
Mm.
hard to
Well,
bench the guy.
let's just give it to good old Lansing for not making the move sooner on Mark Andrews. Because, I mean, when we talked about it, I had no doubt. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I have to take the chance to see if this pans out. So this week, I mean, this is after waiver, so I dropped Andrews. I bet you he scores 2 touchdowns this week. And then I'll win it again next week. Hooray for Eric. I hate fantasy football sometimes, but that's just how it goes. Let's talk about some of those amazing studs from this past week 4.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
Todd, we'll let you go first.
All right, I'm gonna go with Kenneth Walker, 31 points. Holy freaking crap! I mean, I mean, Kenneth Walker was, pretty much was trying to win that game for Seattle by himself. So I remember I wasn't a big Kenneth Walker fan just because of the injuries and everything, but Seattle is kind of like shocking the world a little bit in how well they're playing this year. So I'm gonna go with Kenneth Walker.
I think it's a good one. I mentioned that stat about the 20 points they had between at least the top 3 running backs. Is Kyron Williams did well with 14, but then Rachaad White 3 points, James Conner's good 3 points, and even Charbonnet against Detroit had 8.45. But I think that was super surprising to see, and I don't know how much faith CUP had going into that Monday night game, being down by that much, and then having Walker pile up 31. I mean, you could argue he's the stud of the week to be able to come all the way back and keep them at 3-1 and put Chad Powers fan club at 1-3. Mikey, give me a stud from week 4.
I got to go with Geno Smith.
Yeah,
I mean, this is 2 Monday nights
best
in a
game
row.
of his career.
Yeah, this
Dag nabbit.
2 Monday nights in a row. You've kind of had to deal with the quarterbacks kind of going off against you, and yeah, I mean, he only had 1 touchdown, but I mean, 38 completions, which was he almost had 400 yards passing, which is ridiculous. They threw the ball almost 60 times. Like, Geno's been good this year, like really good. And I think we both kind of liked him.
Yeah, that was going to be the next sentence out of my mouth, is that Mike and I felt pretty good about Geno going into the season. He had just about half of Cooper's Cousins' points by himself. The rest of the team was not that good. But Geno Smith came ready to play on Monday night. So unfortunate for me. Let's see. I mean, we have to talk about Derrick Henry, right? And how, 35 points against a good Buffalo defense. Had a receiving touchdown, had a rushing touchdown. Of course, one of the best running backs on one of the best teams. It's hard to ignore him. You can't not think about Derrick Henry. It's just what he's been able to do has been incredible. Against the Bills, no less. I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. So Derrick Henry, ladies and gentlemen, 2nd round pick. Go in the 1st round if we redid this draft again. So there you have it. Any other studs, Todd, you want to talk about?
Well, let's go with Chuba Hubbard, 21 points. I mean, we kind of looked at looked at this Carolina team like, all right, how good
Resurgent Carolina team.
Yeah, resurgent. I mean, whoever thunk it.
Everybody's clamoring for the wide receivers now.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, hey, if Deontay Johnson, please God, let him play on Sunday. It's gonna be great. But no, Chuba Hubbard, 21 points. I mean, we didn't, Carolina, just all in general, you just didn't know what you're going to, expect from that. And now, Andy Dalton's, at the helm, and that's helping the running game. And who'd have thunk it? You're right, Eric. What world are we living in? What NFL world are we living in where, like the Panthers? I mean, Andy Dalton. What is this? Is the early 2010s? Like, what's going on here, people?
Yeah, Hubbard, 20 20 points or more in 2 straight games. He's been running the ball well. He showed signs last year as well. Now that they have a competent quarterback in there, he's really kind of flourishing. So Kilgore, and I'll go to Mikey for the next stud. Go ahead.
So I'm going to go with Brian Robinson Jr. You talked
Yeah.
about him earlier. He's just been so solid all year long. 3 touchdowns, a touchdown in 3 of the 4 games that he has played. Um, they have Jaden Daniels as a threat back there now, which I think is really helping him out. And Aaron, he only won by 3 points, and without Robinson having the pretty decent performance that he had on Sunday against the Cardinals, he doesn't win. So I'm giving it to Brian Robinson Jr.
We just talked about it with Sam Darnold. You get a good, competent quarterback in there, it really opens things up. I'm sure he was seeing a lot of 8-man boxes 1 year ago. And now that they have a quarterback that can make some plays down the field, it opens things up a ton. And he's been great. And he's added some receptions in this as well. And my last stud before we get to the duds, you talked about it with Robinson. He was huge because Aaron won by a few points. Pollard came up big for Kilgore on Monday night. He was a guy that I think Kilgore was kind of hoping he would fall to him at one point, and we're like, oh, that's your number 2 running back. I don't know how great that's going to be. And he's done well. 3 of the 4 weeks, he's had 13 or more points. Took on Green Bay last year, didn't have a big day, but he's been pretty good for Kilgore Trout and the Tennessee Titans over there. Let's go over to the duds who really stunk it up.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
I would love to smash Mark Andrews if I get the opportunity. 0 points 2 weeks in a row. I couldn't sit and live with myself if I kept him and he was 3 weeks in a row with 0 points. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Mikey, give me a dud.
So 2nd week in a row, I think we're going to Brandon Ayuk.
Yes.
That was going to be my dud.
Sure. And it's the worst thing that could have happened for him was Juwan Jennings having the week that he did the prior week, because now with Deebo Samuel coming back, it was like the 49ers felt like they had to keep Jennings in the lineup. And so, Ayuk's snap count was down last week because now they're trying to fit all 3 guys in there, and he just hasn't gotten going yet. And I don't know, man. Jennings.
Will he get going at some point?
You figure he would have to.
He's too talented, right? They just paid him all this money, right?
It's just, with Kittle back too. I mean, there's so many mouths to feed in that offense. And so to be able to say right now that Ayuk is going to be a consistent threat week to week, I don't think that I can say that right now.
Why'd they pay him all that freaking money then? Oh my, okay.
So here's the thing, Todd. Here's the thing you didn't understand. You didn't know. Like, they didn't know that Juwan Jennings was going to break out and bust out like he has been. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, as they say.
Yeah, but you paid him all that money. Why get? But okay, let me go to my dud before I start saying every effigy no to mankind. All right. Because I said it on the podcast last week, and you probably had to edit a lot of stuff out. Okay, I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. Only 5 points. After a great game last week, 23 points for Cooper, only 5 points against the Raiders, and their team's kind of in a little disarray as well. So only 4 receptions for 35 yards. Yeah, not good.
Not good. I'll throw another one out there. How about Breece Hall? I know it's the Broncos, and the Broncos are legit. But Breece Hall was he number 3 drafted overall guy? Like, he needs to perform no matter who those guys up top need to be matchup dependent. And for Breece Hall to be that bad says something. What do you end up with here? Just 3 points? Didn't even rush for 10 yards? I mean, I didn't get to see the Bronco game, but that just can't happen for someone that was drafted that high. That needs to change. I mean, maybe it's just a 1 week thing, but these are the duds from this past week, and so I believe he was one of them. Go
And
ahead, Mikey.
what's worrisome for him too is at times this year, like the rookie Braylon Allen's looked like
Yeah.
the better back, which is just crazy.
Well, that's where they he's a Wisconsin running back, and they run behind good offensive lines, and they just all they do is just run forward. So
Yeah,
take that for whatever, take that for whatever that's worth.
and Kevin needed him in a big way in a very tight matchup, and so that stinks to have your first round pick be that terrible right out of the gate. Mikey, give me another dud.
Well, I got to go to somebody who I've supported this year, but and Todd hasn't, so he'll love this one. But when you lose by 2 points and Kyle Pitts can't sniff a reception, he
Yeah,
puts up a goose egg. That's unacceptable. And so, yeah, I mean, he's got to hit the dud list this week. I mean, it's just terrible. I don't know why it's not working with Kirk Cousins, who loves tight ends, but yeah,
no
I don't.
targets, no
Yeah,
targets.
if
No,
if
I'm
this
sorry, he had three. He had three. Sorry, no receptions though.
if this keeps up, then nobody's ever going back to the Kyle Pitts train
I
ever.
felt like at least I was. I was like, oh, this could be it. For Kyle Pitts, he's finally gonna. I mean, he was solid in his rookie year, but we obviously been really tearing him down the last few years, and forever, and for rightful reasons, you know. And this year, like, oh, he's got Kirk Cousins. They got a competent quarterback that likes to target his tight ends and utilize them to their fullest. And he had that touchdown in week one, but nothing really since. So yeah, Kyle Pitts was on my list for sure. Todd, you have any other duds?
No, that was pretty much
That was it.
that was it. Yeah, Ayuk
Uh,
pretty much makes up kind of counts for a lot of duds. So cool.
Patrick Mahomes continues to stink. I had
Mm,
James Cook. I mean, we
okay,
talked about it off air, but like Bills, everybody was terrible that week. But
mm.
James Cook, that was huge for me. Who lost by 4 points? He's been the stud. He's been one of the top running backs all year, but only had 5 points, and that can't happen. So that was definitely pretty harsh as well. All right. I can't get to my list here. Where is my gosh darn mouse? It's gone. My mouse is gone. Okay, here we go. There's my cursor. So yeah, anything else we want to talk about? Here's next week's schedule. 4-0 Hot Tamales. Big time matchup. They'll take on 3-1 Kilgore Trout. 3-1 Cooper's Cousins taking on 2-2 NWA. Another 3-1 team, Notorious CUP. They'll take on the 2-2 Butterfingers. 2-2 Lion Rip taking on myself. 1-3. 2-2 Eaton W's taking on 1-3 Chad Powers Fan Club, and 1-3 Belt Sanders versus 0-4 Gonzo Cats. We talked about bye weeks in week 5. Lions, Chargers, Eagles, Titans. No Jared Goff, no Amon-Ra St. Brown. Eric's screwed for this week. No Jameer Gibbs, no David Montgomery, no J.K. Dobbins, no Saquon Barkley, no Jalen Hurts, no Tony Pollard from the Titans. So man, big time of week, the first week of buys, but that's where we stand. How we feeling about Mikey? Talk about your matchup versus Kilgore Trout. That's gonna be a big one.
It is, and there's a lot of uncertainty with it too because at this time, like you said, we don't know officially on Neighbors, but on Kilgore's end, like he doesn't know for sure on Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah,
and so injuries and buys are going to play a big part in it. It should be very interesting.
yeah. No Saquon for Mikey in that league, or in both leagues really. In the other one we play, no J.K. Dobbins, no Montgomery, but he's got his lineup filled out here, and we'll just wait on Neighbors, wait on Taylor. He's got Evan Ingram in the lineup at the current moment. We'll see if he's going to play. Todd, you want to talk about your matchup?
Well, let's see if Purdy can have a kind of a little bit of bounce back and throw a touchdown to Ayuk. That's the goal for Sunday. Besides obviously winning, but a touchdown pass to Ayuk, just one that just shows me that he can catch a touchdown pass. Just one. That's all I need. Just one, just one. So I don't have to really go nuclear and have to like drop Ayuk because it's just gonna.
Nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear. That is new, and that's nuclear. Dropping Ayuk for as high as I drafted him. Yeah, that would be nuclear. That would be nuclear just Oppenheimer died, bomb. So we'll see, but it's gonna be an interesting matchup because the 49ers are playing the Cardinals, and the Cardinals did give up 47 points or 42 points last week. So I'm hoping maybe it might be maybe both defenses kind of slacking a little bit, and it's a high scoring game, and Purdy can put up maybe 50 some points, and maybe some of those will go to Ayuk.
So
Again,
my question for you, Todd, in your
yeah.
matchup is,
Mm-hmm.
as we go round and round on the wheel of tight end roulette, is this the week that it sticks?
Well, I picked up Zach Ertz. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, Ertz had 6 points last week. So
Pretty good. Pretty good for tight end.
That's pretty good. I mean, I picked up Tyler Conklin. There we go. And he had 4. He had 4 points. That was cool because I mean they said too. Well, the Broncos give up a lot of points to tight ends. Well, I mean, hey, I picked up the Broncos defense, so the Broncos defense, as far as I'm concerned, is legit. So, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know, Mikey. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if Zach Ertz sticks or not. If not, then back to the wheel I go. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. Notorious CUP hasn't gotten really great play from Kyler Murray, but his team is pretty stacked. We'll see if ETN can play this week. He's been dealing with injuries, but it looks like he's got everybody he needs for this week. No one really on bye that's going to affect him. So there you have that. And good old me and Aaron, very low point total in terms of projections. 108.42 for Lion Rip, 108.07 for yours truly. Yuck. Gonna be a rough weekend.
And he has to go. He has to go find a tight end. So.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I didn't even notice that Goddard's in there currently, and he didn't pick anybody up from yesterday. So yeah, he'll get a couple more extra points on that 108.42. Tough week for the Lemonheads. Could be 1-4 minus a miracle. Well, that's all I've got. Anything guys you want to talk about as we head into week 5? I think everybody's pretty good. Everybody feels great.
Todd,
Mikey's great.
How you feeling about that Yahoo projection, Todd?
Man, I lose 2 freaking games, and Yahoo thinks I'm gonna. Well, I mean, Yahoo said I was gonna finish last anyway. So you know what? Yahoo can go F itself, okay? Yahoo, geez, what did I ever do to Yahoo? Golly, I have their email address. Like, what the heck's going on here? Okay, what's going on? They're treating me like I slept with their wife. I don't know.
Golly. Well, there you have it, folks. Time for us to get out of here on this MHA podcast. Fantasy football. I wish it was fantasy baseball season again. I was doing so well. Not anymore. Fantasy football is here. Well, for Todd Diamond, Mikey Renault, I'm Eric Lansing. We'll see you next time on that MHA podcast.